Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Media Monday. We are excited that you are here, that you are joining us, and we want to welcome you. For the last 3 months, we have come together and we have been learning all kinds of wonderful things, and I am excited. We have Jamie Don with us today, but we also have somebody that I want to introduce you to. You see her on the screen. Her name is Megan Jacobs, and Megan is our new communication specialist here in, yes, yeah, there we go. She is our new communication specialist here in the office. And so we want to welcome you, Megan.
Thank you. It's good to be here. First day, really just jumping right in. So it's good to be here.
That's the only
Absolutely.
way to do it.
Yep.
And so tell us, for those of us who don't know you, and that could be a few people, since you were on the East Coast, but you've been delivered, and now you are on the West Coast. Whoop whoop. Just tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So as you said, I'm from Maryland, just a little bit of ways. But I grew up there. I from the Laurel area, if anyone knows Sligo, and then also I live in Hagerstown, where I just came from, working for a hospice and doing their digital media. But now I'm here with Southeastern California Conference, so glad to be here. It's a good move. It's a little hot, but it's okay.
Definitely, it's definitely a little warm. Um, but we're glad that you are here with us today, and we're glad to have you, Jamie. You have done such an amazing job. I was talking to a
Praise God.
pastor this past a couple days ago, and he was sharing that he tried some of the things that he learned in one of these sessions, and he said his video went from he normally would get like 16 views, and then he got 500, and so he said, "I love it, it's working," and
Yes.
so I am excited. The testimonies are coming in. People who are
Good.
working it, it's working for those who will work it, and so
Good.
I am excited about that. For those of you who don't know who Jamie Dom is, where have you been? Just playing.
Oh,
No, just playing. She is a digital marketing consultant for over 15 years. She is an author. She wrote the book on digital discipleship and evangelism and named it that. And it's a practical guide for outreach, community service, growth, and evangelism. She's also the co founder of Angels in the Glen, an independent digital ministry that helps to guide men and women around the world for a deeper understanding of end time events and prophetic truths, so that they will be ready for Christ's soon return. So we are excited to have her. We gave the book out last month. We sent it to somebody who did something from the month before, and so we are just excited about having her here with us today. And so, Jamie, we are going to turn the floor over to you
awesome.
as you share with us. And I'm excited to hear more
Mhm.
about helping to transform our members
Mhm.
from viewers into digital disciples. And so, the floor is yours.
Amen. Thank you. And I have to tell you, Megan, I'm out here in Virginia and it is hot. So I don't know how hot it is out there, but it's averaging around 100 here. So,
Ooh,
and then we have the humidity. You have the dry heat. So
that makes it a lot worse.
yeah, it makes it a lot worse. I go outside and the lion's mane is in full
Yeah.
flare. So, so today, what are we going to talk about? So we've talked about a few different things. In our first session, we covered basically how to optimize YouTube for ministry, and it sounds like some people are using it, and it's great. And ability, but God's ability. When you do these things, you'll be able to do more. And so, please, please, throughout all these sessions, go back, rewatch the old ones, download the resources. Please do these ideas. Take these principles that I'm giving you. These are practical how-tos. Please implement them. I promise you they work. I'm not just talking, I'm not making stuff up here. I'm not that creative. So I tell you that everything I talk about does actually work. It's just a matter of doing it. And I've realized that, the funnel starts out wide. People get really excited about the idea of digital discipleship and evangelism, but there's only a small group of you that are doing it. And I'm relying on more of you to catch this excitement and to actually put it in action. Because when others see how powerful these principles are, more and more will do it. And then, really the three angels message will be preached throughout the globe, and we can finally get off this very turbulent rock that we're stuck on. And then our next session, we did understanding your audience. That is a vital principle. It's a vital principle for content evangelism. So today we're going to take a slightly different angle for any of you who are just individuals wanting to better use your digital influence for ministry, or whether you're a pastor or a ministry leader and you want to engage your church, because literally there is space for everyone. Digital discipleship is a means by which individuals and churches can become reach vehicles for souls by using the technology that you use every single day to share the gospel message and to improve the lives of others. And this is following Jesus's method. And we're going to talk about this. Each and every one of us is uniquely positioned to reach someone. If you've seen the other two presentations, I keep saying this. Everyone can reach someone. Each church can become a center for positive influence online and in the community. Because if you are online, whether you're a church, whether you're a ministry, whether you're an individual organization, whatever, you have influence. And what you do with that influence matters. And remember, Jesus met people where they were with the felt needs or challenges they were facing. Then he bid them come and follow. So digital discipleship, it's just a way to empower the individuals to follow the model Jesus set. But it also enables churches to scale up friendship evangelism. We know friendship evangelism is the most powerful form of evangelism, but we can scale it up through strategic use of digital tools and technology. So let's get into specifically what we are going to cover. And if you ever see me kind of go like this, it's because I have to toggle screens to change slides. But today's discussion, we're going to cover just a brief summary of the digital mission field. We're going to talk about how to actually transition that mindset, because it's a cultural mindset that we have that has to change. We have to have a paradigm shift. So how do we do that in our church body? How do we change the minds of our members and get them committed to this idea? And how do we reframe our prior beliefs, and what commitments can we make? And then what does it actually mean to be a digital disciple? So this is where, if you've been in my other presentations, I'm just going to get real practical. And I'm going to talk about how to build community, how to use digital influence to improve the well-being of others, and then how to share the gospel. And then we can have a little time for Q&A. All right. So I love this quote. If necessity is the mother of invention, discontent is the father of progress. I love the quote, but I have a speech impediment. So there we go. I stutter. COVID, as you know, I don't need to talk much about this. It has forever changed the way we relate to technology. And so we have to get used to this idea of a new normal. And I'm sure you're all sick of that. But here's the thing. The way all of us now use digital tools and technologies for daily life, for relationships, education, worship, work, and fitness has changed. And here's the cool thing. Here's the opportunity, because I'm the perpetual optimist. Social media is the ultimate equalizer. We all now have a voice, and with that comes the enhanced ability to participate in discipleship and evangelism. And here's the thing. Some people are kind of permission-based people. I'm not a permission-based person. I probably need to be a little bit more of that. But there's two types of people: those who wait for permission and those that just kind of forge ahead. A lot of people are permission-based people. It's not a bad thing. But if you're waiting for permission, you don't need permission to engage in this kind of ministry. We have the gospel commission. Jesus has asked us to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. We each have an individual responsibility. We just have to get used to the idea of sharing our messages of hope and wholeness around the globe with the click of a button. And I hope that this presentation will inspire and equip you to realize your church's or your individual potential in the digital mission field. So, what was Jesus's model? And this whole idea of digital discipleship is based off of the model Jesus set, because we often go about digital evangelism and digital communications for the church backwards. We're trying to get everybody to follow us and to come into our church and to commit to our doctrines, and then we build relationship. It's got to be the exact opposite. What Jesus did, and I briefly touched on this, but Jesus sought first to fulfill people's needs. Then he bid them come and follow. He met them with the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, the mental, felt need that they had in that moment. He built relationship. He built trust. Then he invited them to come and follow, and he helped them, and he met those challenges without any strings attached. So I want us to kind of rethink how we think about the way the church handles digital communications. And so if we want to get into the specifics of what Jesus actually did, he shared stories. He shared godly wisdom. He attended to people's needs. He answered people's questions. He gave them hope. He created community. He developed an engaged, active church body. He led people to wholeness, and he equipped people. He equipped others to be disciples and to replicate the model he developed. What I submit to you today is the digital discipleship model. It follows this. This is what every individual can participate in. And here's the thing, and again, I'm only going to touch on this briefly because we have a lot to get into, is I will always remember March 15th, 2020. I was very, very sick that week. I had probably had COVID, which means I've now had it twice. And I crawled myself out of bed and realized that the world was shutting down. And at the time, I was an admin on probably over 50 pages, if you count Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And the same message kept coming. Like, people were coming to us and like mocking the Christian channels, and they were saying, "Where is your God now? Where is your God now?" And I was surprised because I certainly didn't expect the mockers and the scoffers to come that day. And I was shocked because they were like blaming us for the pandemic, or blaming, I don't even know what they were trying to do, but they were accusers, they were mockers, they were scoffers. But it got me to think, where is my God right now? What is he doing? And what I think he was doing is, while we were stuck at home, he was on the move because we needed to relearn how to do church outside of a building, to extend the church experience beyond the confines of time and space in a building to a 24/7 active community and centers for positive influence that each individual takes part in, each individual takes a role in. And I believe God of course, I don't think he causes the bad things. He doesn't cause the pandemics. That's the devil. He doesn't need any help. But I believe he uses them for his good. So just like in the first century, the apostolic gospel went to new regions because people were fleeing persecution. I believe God is using the pandemic and this prolonged mess that we're in so that we can learn to do ministry differently. He had to shut the church doors. And I really want us to think about this. Like, we must reignite the spirit of the early Adventist church, and that grassroots movement that starts with involvement from individual members. Because unfortunately, we've gone from pew warmers to online viewers, and that's even like, we have to change. It's not acceptable. And in other presentations, when I talk about individuals who want to be content evangelists themselves and create content and be creatives, I talk about this entrepreneurial mindset where we each take ownership, and we take our creative ideas and we express them to share the gospel and to reach out to those who we can reach out to, which is many. And again, I believe we're all uniquely positioned to reach certain people. And for those of you who are like, well, I don't know, I have a lot of older members in my church and they maybe have like 4 emails. And yeah, they can text and maybe they're on Facebook. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you have 4 friends or 40,000. You have Influence. Use what you have to reach the people within your sphere of digital influence with their messages of hope and wholeness. We can each realize potential in this area. Ask, you'll be amazed. Almost everyone in the United States has email. I don't remember the exact number. It's like 98% or something, or maybe 97. Like, it's real high. Okay. And this is adults. I'm talking about adults, not children. They can share messages. They can forward emails. Most people have the ability to text. Almost everyone of the older generation is on Facebook. They're on something. So even if you're dealing with an older generation, don't scoff at this idea. They're powerful. And honestly, some of the aunties at my church are probably the most engaged through their networks on Facebook. So there's still a lot of people on Facebook. Don't knock it. And you might be saying, whoa, but isn't social media dangerous? You might have members in your congregation that are like, I don't want to be a part of this. But the funny part is a lot of times people will tell me on social media that social media is dangerous and it shouldn't be used for the gospel. And I'm like, but you're on social media and you're telling me this through a social media channel. Now, the Bible does tell us to guard our avenues, our hearts and minds. But when has danger ever stopped us from going into the physical mission field? So for too long, we have put up silos between our faith and the lives we live online, when our presence online can be a powerful extension of ourselves and our faith in spaces where people spend their time. The average person now spends 18 hours, up to 18 hours a day behind a screen. That is insane. You can't knock on doors to reach people anymore. Plus, they might not, they might want to keep some distance from you. So, but online, we can reach people 24/7 when it's convenient for them. And in Exodus 4, God asked Moses what was in his hand. And in Moses' hand, there was a shepherd's staff. Now, a shepherd's staff is a neutral tool. And I want you to think of digital tools and technologies as neutral tools. With a shepherd's staff, you could hit, you could harm, or you could lead, and you could protect. It's what you do with it. And here's the thing, with God in the mix, that simple staff performed miracles and led God's people out of the bondage of slavery in Egypt. I believe God is asking every single one of us, what is in your hand? Today, that's a smartphone. That's an iPad. That's a camera. It's a laptop. So if God is working with us, you may only have a few connection, but miracles will take place and people around the world will be freed from the bondage of slavery, because what we share online will go further than you ever know. And we are facing, without a doubt, the biggest communication shift in 500 years. But yet church communication has been very slow to change. And we think that just posting our services online, we're done, we're checked, we've got it, we've done. So we're just doing an old way, but online. So when people are Googling and searching for answers, like we talked about in the last presentation, they just find a church to watch. And if your church isn't still fully open, they're watching an empty church. The thing about what happened 500 years ago with the Gutenberg press, it revolutionized the world and the gospel. It altered society through unrestricted circulation of information and increase in literacy. Sounds a lot like the internet and social media, right? We are on the precipice of a digital revolution for the gospel. I truly believe this. We are at a pivotal moment in which we can choose to be part of a digital revolution for the gospel. And this means that posting your online service is not enough. This means watching your online service is not enough, and simply sharing it is not enough. We must adapt and we must personally get involved. Just as the Protestant reformers leveraged the printing press, we can use digital tools to share our messages and fulfill our individual roles. It has never been more affordable for the individual to share the gospel message. And I truly believe that the next great awakening will be digital and it will be global. I'm seeing change every day and I am blown away at the creativity I see from people. But when people wake up and they realize you have influence and you can make a difference, just start sharing, doing something. And we're going to talk about a little bit about how do we transition our members. So how do we change this mindset? How do we change the solo? How do we get them away from just being passive online viewers? So how do we transition them? Oh, I just realized I can scroll instead of click the button. Okay. So we need disciples who will intentionally build relationships with non-members online and look for opportunities to serve. The Bible tells us to become and make disciples. So what this means is to make room for digital discipleship in your church, to legitimize it as a significant ministry, to include and encourage, to empower your members and empower each other to engage in ministry in ways that align with their passion, their spiritual tools, gifts of preference, and personal style. They don't have to join a new social media account if they're comfortable with the ones they're on. They can use the influence where they are. But this is especially important to younger generations because we can validate the natural talents of youth who are digital natives, and we can encourage them to use their unique skills for kingdom building. Because like I talked a lot about in the Understand Your Audience presentation, this idea of cultural empathy, youth are in the best possible position to reach youth. We have to bring up somebody within a community to reach that community. And right now it's a generation. We have to empower. We have to let them have space and let them know that this is legitimate ministry and we support them. We have to encourage their creative ideas. It might look different. It might be a little uncomfortable for some of us, but it's ministry. And so this is where the role of leadership is so important. And for those of you who are leaders in your church, include digital discipleship in the short and long-term goals and visions of your church and your ministry. Dedicate personal funds for social media or digital content creation. Dedicate and encourage time. Thank you for joining this presentation. Please share it with others. Identify talented people who can take on social media as a personal ministry. Invest in young people. Give them space in your church to use their talents. Encourage and uplift them and their efforts for digital ministries. This makes a lot of people nervous. They're like, I don't want to give them the password to the Instagram account. The vast majority of the disciples that walked with Jesus were young. And the same with the Advent movement. Most of them were young. Some of them were teenagers. And yet we're afraid to give teenagers our passwords to the church's social media account. When we expect a high bar of youth, they will rise to that bar and they will blow your mind. I guarantee it. We can legitimize digital discipleship as a form of ministry that everyone can be involved with. We can cultivate a culture of creativity and sharing in digital spaces. Also, make it safe to fail. Make it safe to try new ideas that just might not translate. That's okay. Get out of the way and let innovation happen. Encourage, don't criticize when someone's doing something or trying something. And you can even form digital discipleship teams who can share their ideas and experiences with each other and feed off of each other. I find that my best ideas come when I'm engaging with others. And of course, there's a lot of free resources. There's my book, there's my website. I have free resources up there. And there's also the SDA data website that I put together when I was at the North American division. If you're just wondering simply, how does one define a digital disciple? They can be a content creator, they can be a distributor, or they could be in sort of the engagement care, that customer service role, or they can participate in 2 or 3 of them, and all of them. But a digital disciple, in summary, is just someone who advances the gospel message in a digital space around a digital tool or by utilizing a digital need or by utilizing a digital tool. It is not limited to digital spaces. What happens in digital spaces is not confined to digital spaces. It should translate into the real world. And what they use these tools and technologies to share the gospel and improve the lives of others. But this is going to take reframing, because for too long, our digital tools and technologies have been viewed as incompatible with the gospel and our faith. So we need to reframe how we view our time spent online to maximize its untapped potential. Many of you may already be participating in ministry in this way and not realize it. So what do? Reframe. Be intentional online with how they spend their time. Pay attention to the posts of others. It's not just about my selfies and my lunch and all about me. What are others posting? Where are there opportunities for me to minister to others? Proactively reach out and take action in appropriate and timely ways. Do more than type thoughts and prayers. We can make commitments, and you can go over these later because you guys will get the presentation. But it's the same as the growing fruitful disciple commitments from the NAD. It's just upgraded to reflect digital tools and technologies. You can empower yourself and others. You can create pods where there's this culture of sharing and content engagement where everyone in your church or your digital discipleship team agrees to engage with and or share church social media content weekly. They agree to forward emails or links to opportunities, videos, etc. weekly. And they agree to share their faith through their personal experiences via digital tools and technologies as much as possible, or as much as they're comfortable with. They can start small. And for those of you who are, again, leaders, here are some ways you can train and excite and get people involved, even in older generation. You could take time for hands-on training. You can take times in meetings to prioritize technology. Have people take out their phones in the moment and take an action. You can empower a designated person to post about community events on apps like Nextdoor. You can encourage them to engage in your content on Facebook, because almost every church is on Facebook and probably should be. Tell them when to expect emails, ask them to forward to their contacts if there's like an event or something important coming up, or a toy drive or whatever. Keep them posted on how their efforts are working and create a sense of teamwork. And it's really important to just tell people to share or forward an email, because people are 60% more likely to take an action if you just simply ask them to. So we just kind of assume people would do it, but we got to keep reminding them, we got to encourage them to do it, and then get them excited, over communicate, make them feel like they're part of the team and they're achieving something. So now this is where we're going to get into the practical tips. So this is how any individual can help build community online and share the gospel and improve the well-beings of others. And I'm telling you, this works. I'm excited that other people have been trying the things I've been talking about. Please try these things. Now, because many of you are going to be new to this, I just want to make a point here. Many efforts are unable to succeed because they lack clear direction. This is true for a comprehensive digital strategy. You need to have a clear direction. So I highly recommend, if this is new to your ministry, new to you, new to the members of your church, ask them to choose one purpose, just one. And then they can think creatively about how to use their influence, the available tools that they use, and time spent online to fulfill that purpose. So every time they go online, they're thinking about how to fulfill that purpose. And the types of purposes may be, I've organized them into 4 categories. There may be others, maybe just to create awareness, share the gospel, and spread hope. This is something I like to call digital door knocking. And we'll talk about it a little bit, how easy it is. That's like the lowest hanging fruit. They can minister to those in needs. You can use digital tools and technologies to improve the lives of others. You really can. And we're going to use some examples of that. You can grow participation in community. You can let people know about food drives and all kinds of other stuff going up, or a neighborhood cleanup, or whatever it is that's going on in your church. So number 1, people ask, well, how do I get started? Whether it's via text, email, Facebook, whatever, TikTok, connect with people within your faith community and beyond. Encourage your members to do the same. You cannot reach others. You cannot share the gospel or minister to their needs if they're not connected to you. Build a network of ways to connect with people. Go where they spend their time. I hear too often from fellow Adventists that they don't know any non-Adventist and aren't connected to any online. Now, I'm a convert, so this kind of blows my mind, but I also get it. So, because we are called to be in the world winning for souls, just not part of the world. So we might have to shift a little here. We should not wall ourselves into a protective bubble. But if you have church members in this situation, have them start by connecting with their neighbors, non-Adventist family members, non-Adventist co-workers, or school connections. And I understand there's some people that they're 5th generation Adventist, everybody in their family's Adventist, they work for an Adventist institution. So they might need to get creative, and they might have to go out to neighbors and, other things. But honestly, here's the thing. Even if they cannot connect with any non-Adventist, do not underestimate the need to uplift the church body. We do not know the silent struggles of those around us, and something that you do or share online could be their lifeline to belief and a real relationship with Jesus. Your efforts could be the one thing stopping them from leaving the church. You can start small, you can be intentional. When you show them how faith is relevant, you can keep faith relevant in their lives. Building community really isn't any different than it is in real life. Every opportunity to connect is an opportunity to advance the kingdom of God, and these concepts are built upon biblical models of outreach and evangelism. It's just that digital technologies actually allow us to listen more closely to our community. We can scale up traditional friendship evangelism and meet people's needs by staying more connected. We can see what they're posting. People post a lot of personal information online, and this is why I absolutely love this quote. Being listened to is so close to being loved that most people cannot tell the difference. We all have those people in our connections that kind of overshare, or they're always ranting and they're always raving. Really, what they need is to be listened to. Their cup is not being filled. They don't feel loved. And you have a lot of people who will share an immense amount of information online, personal information, or their shared tragedy in their life, or whatever it is. This is an opportunity to minister to them. God is love, and Jesus came near to those he wished to serve. Let people know that you are truly interested in their lives and that you care and are with them on the journey. You may just want to pick a few people, like 3 to 5, to focus on that you really feel that you can reach or influence, and constantly be checking in, looking at their post, just trying to learn about and be engaged in their lives. Like, let them know that you care about them. Not in a creepy or a pushy way, but just connect with them, get to know them, ask them questions. And this is how you can actually scale up friendship evangelism, because your goal here is to ultimately understand and fulfill a need so you can make that tangible impact in the real world. This means listening and taking action on a daily basis, because what starts in the digital space is not confined to the digital space. So you just have to scale up your friendship evangelism, connect with others, learn about their lives beyond just socializing in person. You can see what they're posting throughout the week. Take the time to engage and show interest. Use digital tools to inform and invite friends to fellowship opportunities. Take advantage of opportunities to serve people by better understanding their expressed needs. People express an amazing lot. Like, I know when COVID hit, I knew several people who lost their jobs. Well, my background is marketing and writing and all this kind of stuff. So I actually was able to help them with their resumes. I knew another youth who lost their job and they were on a college campus, or like the college shut down. And so she wasn't able to work because she was an international student or something. I cashed after her some money. Like, there are things that you can do through digital tools and technologies to minister to people if you're paying attention. Meaning, we can go beyond thoughts and prayers. We can send money. We can send groceries. We can help them with their resumes. We can help them with whatever their need is in creative ways without ever leaving our house. That's the cool thing. You can start meaningful conversations, and you can listen more than you can speak. Listen more than you speak. And you can, of course, easily follow up and stay in contact with people. I have a list of people that I reach out to every week, and I see how they're doing, and I follow up on whatever issue that I'm praying for them now. I have a few friends that are going through fertility issues. Every week I check on them. Praise God, they're both pregnant now. Every week I check on them, see how they're feeling, see how everything's going. They know that I love them. I've sent them things. I've sent them information. I've found ways to minister to them based on whatever their felt need was, and just let them know that I was there for their journey. We have to build relationships and trust. We can go online with purpose, and we can better build relationships beyond the happy Sabbath and sort of the conversations that don't go too deep when we just see people in passing. Like, we can take daily action to better understand the people we're trying to reach. So this helps us in a holistic approach of discipleship and evangelism, because it helps us to practically improve the well-being of others. And there's this really amazing phrase that I love from Ellen White. It's called benevolent disinterest. It's basically where you do good just to do good with no strings attached. Because oftentimes in church, and I've seen this, and people are well-meaning, is we'll do something to help people, but then we're sort of like so you're going to come to my Bible study, right? Like there's kind of a string attached. Like we have to do good just to do good. And when the person's ready, let them come to us. And so we can build a relationship built on care and trust. And knowing that, we don't have an ulterior motive, because people can see that. Now, how do you show people through your actions online that you see them, that you care about them, and that you're there for them? You rejoice with those who rejoice, and you weep with those who weep. So you have to demonstrate your care and intentions to the unchurched. So it also means you can strengthen and nurture your community. Some practical tips for this include set a time each day to engage with your community's post. Pay attention to cries for help and search for ways to practically help. One thing I like to ask myself is, how many prayers can I answer by simply paying attention? It's more than you realize. Because often as we go online, it's about what we can post, okay? Or we watch some celebrity influencer or something. Go online and listen. It'll change your faith relationship. I guarantee it. Ask questions, respond in meaningful ways, understand the felt needs of that individual, pray for them. I like to send recorded prayers so they can hear me petitioning God on their behalf. Take action and just follow up and repeat as long as necessary, my friends. Trust also, you have to build trust with transparency, integrity, and authenticity. Always be open, objective, and honest. Again, no bait and switch, no strings attached kind of stuff. Respect their privacy and model that in all you do in post. So if somebody confides in you, and they will, if you're doing this well, don't share with others. Keep it between just you and them. I often have those conversations in the direct messages of various social media because people feel more comfortable to open up. And be vulnerable. Show that you're human. You can relate. People don't like it when they feel like they're being condescended to. Be authentic. How can you be authentic? You can share a whole person, because people are more drawn to you when you share what you're passionate about, and they can become inspired by your passion. They want to join you. They can relate to you because they see that you're a full person, that you have other interests, and how you go about life, and how faith is relevant in your life, and how faith helps you live your best life. And when you do that, your faith becomes less foreign to people, and it becomes practical and meaningful. And just be consistent in person and online. People should always know what to expect from you. Always be kind, always be gentle, always be loving. Because every opportunity to connect is an opportunity to advance the kingdom. Don't chase people away from Jesus just to win an argument. And I'm sorry I have to say that, but there's a lot of people who like their online debates. It causes more harm than good. Now, again, so you see all these different points, these 5 points are all tied in together, and they're wrapped around each other because it really is a holistic method. How do we improve the well-being of others? So you've connected with people and you began to build a relationship, and you're starting to understand them. So now you can take action to alleviate the burdens of others. Go online with intention. Now, this is what amazing, and this is not an exaggeration. This is pre-COVID, so COVID belongs in here somewhere. So maybe it's like the 11 causing death. We can actually save lives. So when you actually look at the 8 root causes of death, it's things like meaningless existence, lack of information, education, loneliness, social isolation, anger, frustration, economic disparity, low self-worth or self-esteem. If you know you're made in the image of God, that He counts the hairs on your head, you know that you are worth all of eternity because Christ sacrificed Himself on the cross for you. You know that God is coming back for you, that He cares for you, that He weeps with you. Our church body, just by engaging in digital discipleship, can be the healing salve for these 8 root causes, and we can save people's lives. We can attend to all these. We can help with economic disparity. We can help with information, external, internal stress, all this kind of stuff we can help with. And there's this really great case in the Outliers book. It's a curious case of Rosetta, Pennsylvania. And it's an Italian community, and I'm half Sicilian. And it was amazing. Like 41% of their calories were from like fat. They all smoked. They were overweight, all this kind of stuff. But there was no suicide, no alcoholism, no drug addiction, and very little crime. They didn't have anyone on welfare. The people were simply dying of old age. And I can tell you that is astounding, because when I was growing up in a semi-Italian community, we were basically taught that Italians have bad hearts. It was very common to have heart attacks even at young ages. But in this community, virtually no one under 55 had died of a heart attack. The death rate from all causes was 30 to 35% lower than expected. That's crazy. And of course, we know because of the Mediterranean diet, the reason why I just have to say this, Italian Americans suffer from heart issues is because the food here is much heavier than what's actually eaten in the Mediterranean. We have a lot more dairy, a lot more meat, a lot more cheese here than what's actually eaten if you go to Italy. So what made the difference in this community? Because lifestyle was not great. They were defying all the odds. And how is this relevant to what the church can do? So they looked at health in terms of a community, and what they found when they looked beyond the health of the individual, they found that 3 generations of people lived under one roof. People stopped on the street and talked. Neighbors took care of neighbors. Grandparents were respected, and they were unified from church through church and civic engagement. What they had done is the Rosentians had transported the Bazzani culture, the peasant, the village culture of Italy to their new home in Pennsylvania, and they had created a protective bubble where they could thrive because they had a community care system that was strong and it was thriving. Now, I believe the church can fill this gap. Families are broken these days. You barely have one generation under one roof. So I believe that the church can do this if we're strategic. So my question is, what if every church and Christian offered a safe place to ask without judgment? As I said before, we've walled ourselves in to a protective bubble and don't know how to respond to the harshness of the realities people face daily. Too often, we're guilty of responding in a way that feels like it's coming from a position of moral superiority instead of genuine care and compassion. And I love this quote, and I need to actually add her name to the slide. This is from Erica Jones. When we offer a place where people can share without fear of condemnation, where we listen more than we talk, where our advice stems from understanding and compassion rather than moral judgments, they find that the church faith is relevant. This is what Jesus did. It is a privilege and a great responsibility when people come to us for answers. Let's give them a safe place to land. So as I said before, we can extend beyond the church building to create a support system outside of the church. So that if somebody in the community cries for help, the church is there to respond. We can become a center for positive influence. And this goes back to that concept of reframing how we view digital spaces and how we utilize our time online, because we can connect with people all throughout the week. Number 4, content is mission. People search online for answers to the problems. What better place for the church to share its messages of hope and wholeness? So we've gone through all of these first 3 steps before we've got to digital door knocking. And that's because you have to build the community, the relationship. Now, I'll say this. We do not have a message problem. We have the gospel, the greatest story ever told. We have the voice of prophecy. We have the 3 angels messages. We have the health ministry. We have all this great stuff. We don't have a message problem. We have a distribution problem. And the way I see it, we have 20 or 21 million members worldwide, and that translates to over 20 million distribution centers for the gospel worldwide. So imagine if we took this role as seriously as we take our plant-based diets. So what I'm proposing, and this is easy. If you're online, you have an email address, smartphone, you can engage in something called digital door knocking. It's when you share spiritual content on your social media profiles or through messaging and email to uplift others and to create an opportunity for people to engage with you about your faith. It's that easy. Everyone can do it. It's certainly easier than knocking on someone's door. And the great thing about this ministry is that social media allows us to share our faith and engage with the community when it's convenient for them. That might be 5 a.m. It might be 6:05 in the evening or 1:30 in the afternoon. Doesn't matter. Our audience can self-select whether and when they want to engage. In today's busy world, it's hard to catch people at home, but we can certainly catch them online, because remember, people spend up to 18 hours a day behind a screen. And there's two ways to engage in digital door knocking. You can simply share content. That's the easiest. So the burden of creation is not on, everyone. Or you can create content that focuses on the mental, physical, and spiritual needs specific to your community. Now, here's the thing. And this goes back to understanding your audience and that cornerstone of content evangelism. Don't just create content to create content, or you think it's interesting content. Consider this. How will your audience's attitude or perceptions of God themselves or their situation change because of what you've created or shared? So just be very strategic, be thoughtful, be intentional. We can tell stories. Stories are powerful. If you're not sure where to start, tell stories of faith in your life or in the faith of others, because stories never tell us what to think. They cause us to think. They don't tell us what to feel. They cause us to feel. They draw us close together because it shares our humanity. And tell the whole story. Be human. Share how God is working in your life. Make it personal. Draw people in. Again, that authenticity. You're not perfect. Digital word of mouth opportunities. It's, word of mouth is always the strongest marketing mechanism for getting the word out about a product or a cause. And all of you do this, whether it's, a new restaurant or a new music you like, or a new pair of shoes, or a new chapstick, or whatever it is. We are digital evangelists for any number of products, and we do it all the time. We share it. We talk about it with other people. What I'm asking you to do is to do the thing you already do, but break down the silo and do it for the gospel. You can read through this list later. The final cornerstone is just be the voice that answers back. Treat every conversation like you're speaking to the person face to face. And how are you be accessible? Give options. Make it easy to reach out to you. If you're church, make it easy for them to reach out to you. Make sure you have a team who's checking those messages. If you're an individual and you have like 1,000 unread messages, Marie Kondo your inbox. Be neat and tidy so that you can see those messages when they come in, and respond quickly. Even if you can't necessarily respond to the question that they have or their situation, let them know you're praying for them and that you're going to get back to them soon, and then actually follow up on that. And when we go about ministry this way, we have to evaluate success differently. It's not about, well, when I worked in like ticket sales and stuff, it was, it was butts and seats. It's not about people in the pews. It's about how many times did you share the love of Christ? How many conversations did you start or engage with on social media? Are you painting a more authentic picture of yourself, faith, of the church? Are you building relationships? Do you better understand the needs of those you are connecting with online? And have you found meaningful and practical ways to help people? That to me is the most important. That's how you know you're successful. If you're doing this and you're listening to people online and you're actually taking action, that's success. Now, I want to end with a couple of these quotes from my favorite theologian, because they really hit home to this idea of personal ownership in digital discipleship. Long has God waited for the spirit of service to take possession of the whole church, so that everyone shall be working for him according to his ability. When the members of the church of God do their appointed work in the needy fields at home and abroad, and in this case abroad, I think is online, in fulfillment of the gospel commission, the whole world will soon be warned, and the Lord Jesus will return to this earth with power and great glory. We don't have to hop on a plane and go to a distant land. We just have to share. Christ commits his followers an individual work, a work that cannot be done by proxy. Ministry to the sick and the poor and the giving of the gospel to the lost is not to be left to committees or organized charities. Individual responsibility, individual effort, personal sacrifice is the requirement of the gospel. Now, here's the thing. The message is supposed to go out with a loud voice. If we had 21 million members worldwide proclaiming the gospel message, the three angels message, through our digital influence, I'd say that would constitute a loud voice. All right. And, if you're interested in learning more, There's the book. It's kind of a deep dive into that. I do have some other presentations that go into sort of the foundations, and then I have a new one that's on launching your own digital ministry, this idea of entrepreneurship. And let's go to the Q&A.
This has been such a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Jamie. And your passion always comes out about this. And I can tell that you're passionate, and that's what we need. And I pray that it's contagious so that we can all catch that. And so if you're watching and you have questions, you can definitely put it in the comments and we will ask Jamie. I know one of the things that you said that really just stuck out to me was we don't have to hop on a plane. We just have to share. And it's so true, because we could literally, even if we had a burden to reach people in faraway lands, we could literally just share where we are. And I've had the opportunity to minister to people all over the world from my house. And so, go ahead.
I was going to say, and we are still, I believe, the most diverse church, at least in North America. So we speak every language, nation, tribe, and tongue. Like we can use that influence to reach around the globe. And again, what starts in the digital space is not confined. If you know a good thing, you're going to share a good thing. So if we reach all the people who are online, those people then take care of reaching the people who are offline around the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's just been so wonderful. And I just want to thank you again for sharing. I guess you have been so thorough that you have answered every question that anyone may have.
I just see some quotes like from it, but yeah, okay. No.
And so, yeah, so we want to thank you. You've been with us for the last 3 months, and you have been so committed and passionate and helpful, and you have absolutely been a blessing. And so I just want to thank you again for sharing. And I pray that all of us will do something different. I was looking at my screen time and the amount of times I pick up my phone or I'm on my phone. We could all be using some of that time to share the good news of the gospel, share the good news of God's love. So
just do one thing a day. And, even like simple stuff is like, I had to do the children's story last week. I then like edited it and made the adult version for online, and I posted it, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from that. Just like little simple stuff like that. Really, you'll be amazed at the kind of feedback you'll get when you start sharing stuff or you start connecting with people, and then being responsive, and then really listening to what their felt needs are, and then actually taking a meaningful action. Because people don't, I believe in the power of prayer. Do not misunderstand me. But to the unchurched, they're just like, I mean, I see it mocked all the time. Thoughts and prayers, like that's a mocking. It becomes a mockery. It wouldn't be a mockery if we put that if we also did our part in part of the actions too, because God talks about us as the hands and feet of Christ, and the Holy Spirit is working alongside us. All that is true. But if we can take action, we should take action and do something meaningful in someone's life.
Absolutely. You said it. And so that is just so wonderful. And I just thank you for that. And I hope that we will not just be hearers of this, but we will be doers of this. And we should all make it a point to say, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to do one of these things. I'm going to share something. I'm going to send an email, a text, or something. I am going to show up in a digital space and use my influence for Christ. And I believe that if even those of us who are watching now and those who will watch in the future, if we commit to doing that, we are going to turn the needle for Christ. And so once again,
oh yeah, I was going to say, and I give you a bunch of resources too that people can download as well. And I think it's like just to hopefully get people excited so they go to your page and download them. It's personal social media ideas, digital discipleship, like just a whole like fillable guide of like things you can do and things that you can power, your church to do, digital prayer opportunities, and then tips for setting boundaries for those of us who may be doing this a lot, about how to just stay balanced and to not do so much ministry that your cup ends up being empty. You have to, have time for your own spiritual life as well.
Well, I want to thank you for all of these bonuses. And I know people are saying, how do we get them? We're going to put it in the chat once again. You can register, and I think that registration will be open for just a little bit longer. And so you can register, and we will email them out to you. So the bonuses, the PowerPoint presentation, the worksheets, all of the wonderful resources she just described, you can see them, you can have them, you can use them, and be blessed by them. And so once again, we want to thank you, Jamie. You have done an amazing job, and we thank you for sowing into the churches and ministries here in Southeastern California Conference. And so we just praise God for you. Before we go, we want to remind you all, and maybe tell some of you all, that we are going to be having an in-person training at the conference office in Riverside, California on August 28th. We have a short promo video that we are going to play right now, and then we're going to come back and say goodbye. And so here's our promo video for our Excel Media Conference. So we are so excited, and you can go to the same link where you can register for all of the bonus materials. That'll get you to registration for our media conference also. So we hope to be a blessing to you in the areas of videography, photography, social media, websites, writing, all of that stuff is going to be there. We want to help you excel. So you've got to join us at the Excel Media Conference. That being said, ladies, do you have anything else you want to add before we sign off? Okay. So I want to thank you both for being with us this evening. And we want to thank you all for joining us this evening. Blessings to you all. And don't forget to go to registration so you can get all of these wonderful bonuses. You all make it a great evening and an even better day for those who will be blessed by your action tomorrow. Take care.
Amen. Thank you.